As dawn broke over the rugged landscape, a small group of early humans emerged from the mouth of a limestone cave, stretching as the chill of the night began to fade. Their day had already begun, some scanning the horizon for game, others gathering kindling for the fire that never fully died out. Their lives unfolded in the raw, unforgiving landscapes of the Paleolithic era, but they were far from the brutish, savage figures often portrayed in popular imagination. But the reality of Paleolithic life is far more complex. It was not a brutal existence, nor one of constant warfare and survival at all costs. Instead, the Paleolithic world was rich with human ingenuity and resilience. The way these early humans lived, adapted, and survived is a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of humanity. In a world where survival was the ultimate goal, early humans did not rely on written records or grand infrastructure. A sharp-edged stone tool could make the difference between life and death. Hunting large game, for example, required not only strength, but also skill and coordination. Water collection was a daily necessity, and the task usually fell to women and children, who carried it in containers made from animal bladders or woven baskets. These materials were used in other daily tasks as well, such as storing food or making tools. Every item had a purpose, and there was little waste in a world where every resource was precious. Using nets, hooks made from bone, and spears, early humans adapted to their environments and developed technologies suited to their specific needs. The hottest part of the day was often spent in the shade, resting from the heat and recovering from the morning's work. The basic social unit was the band, typically consisting of 20 to 30 individuals, several related families, living and working together. These groups were not isolated but interacted with neighboring bands. They shared food, traded resources, and exchanged knowledge. Cooperation and reciprocity were vital to survival, and these social bonds helped the group thrive in a harsh world. They knew when and where to hunt, when to gather, and how to use fire to shape the landscape to their benefit. Tools, shelters, and even the act of cooking an essential part of their advancements in knowledge and skill. Stone tools became more refined over time, allowing for more specialized tasks. Early humans learned to craft wooden spears, bone needles, and other tools that allowed them to access new resources and improve their lives. And resilience, building the foundations of human culture, art, and technology. These achievements were not just the beginning of civilization, they were civilization itself, lived out in the wild ancient landscape that sustained them for generations. The Paleolithic period, with all its challenges and triumphs, laid the groundwork for everything that followed, shaping the path of humanity for millennia to come. They practiced controlled burns to create hunting grounds, and they knew how to make the most of their surroundings to ensure they had enough food to survive through the winter. The legacy of their adaptability, creativity, and resilience lives on in the world we inhabit today. Instead, think of a skilled technologist, a knowledgeable botanist, an innovative artist, and a cooperative community member. These were the people who laid the foundation for all that came after. They weren't just surviving, they were shaping the future of humanity. While the Paleolithic era may seem distant, its influence on our understanding of community, survival, and culture remains profound. In the evenings, after the day's activities were done, the group would gather around the fire to share what they had caught or gathered. This communal space was the center of Paleolithic social life, where stories were shared, bonds were formed, and plans for the future were made. The cave art found in sites like Lascaux or Altamira reflects their deep connection to the world around them. These paintings, often of animals and symbols, were not just decorative, they were symbolic. They represented the thoughts, beliefs, and experiences of early humans, a way of understanding their place in the world and their relationship to nature. The art was likely linked to rituals, spirituality, and communication, showing that Paleolithic humans had a rich cultural life far beyond mere survival. Fishing was another example of human adaptability, an essential survival strategy that diversified the food sources available to Paleolithic groups. Early humans didn't simply stumble upon food. They had to plan, organize, and execute their hunts with precision. Storytelling was a vital part of life, passing down knowledge, cultural traditions, and personal experiences. Music was another form of expression. Early humans crafted musical instruments from bone and wood, creating flutes and drums that reflected the rhythms of their lives. These simple instruments were not just tools of entertainment. They were a form of communication, a way to connect with each other and with the world around them. The group would perform what are known as immediate return activities, like gathering food and tools, as well as delayed return activities, like preparing for future needs. The life of a Paleolithic human was indeed governed by strict time, but by the immediate needs of survival and the long-term planning required to ensure their survival through changing seasons. Tools allowed them to succeed where mere strength alone would have failed. Adult men, who typically hunted large game, would set off at first light, while women would gather plant foods, hunt smaller animals, or engage in other necessary tasks. The food was not always abundant, and hunting wasn't always successful. In many regions, hunting was a dangerous and unpredictable endeavor, making gathering a more reliable source of food. Women gathered fruits, seeds, nuts, tubers, and greens, but they also had knowledge of plants with medicinal properties. Their intimate knowledge of the natural world ensured that the group had access to a wide variety of sustenance. Instead, they relied on the skills they honed: daily tools to hunt, to gather, to create shelter, and to protect themselves. These tasks were not dictated by a rigid schedule, but by the natural rhythms of the world. Without the luxury of artificial lighting, their lives were governed by the sun, by daylight and darkness, by the seasons. The Paleolithic day began with rekindling the fire, which had been carefully maintained overnight. Starting a fire from scratch was difficult, and so most groups maintained embers or slow-burning materials to keep the fire alive from day to day. This fire wasn't just for warmth, it was the center of life, offering light, protection from predators, and a means to cook food. In a world that was constantly changing, from shifting climates to evolving landscapes, early humans had to adapt in extraordinary ways. They were finely crafted instruments, carefully honed to fit the needs of the task at hand. From the most basic hand axes to the intricately carved spear tips, these tools were a reflection of the intelligence and resourcefulness of early humans. Tools were not made haphazardly. Each one required skill, knowledge, and time. Even the simplest of tools, such as the hand axe, was a complex artifact of human creativity, designed to fulfill a specific function. Over time, the sophistication of tools evolved, allowing early humans to better hunt, gather, and even protect themselves. They did so with a profound understanding of the natural world, crafting tools, building shelters, and creating bonds within their communities that allowed them to thrive in a challenging environment. In fact, their daily existence was far more intricate, dynamic, and rich than the simple images we tend to associate with them. The Paleolithic period, stretching from approximately 2.6 million years ago to about 12,000 years ago, encompasses over 99% of human history. It was an era before agriculture, before cities, and before written language. However, this was not a static period, but one of constant adaptation. Innovations in technology, art, and social organization flourished throughout the Paleolithic, shaping humanity in profound ways. And spears, along with the hearths where they cooked their food, and the symbolic cave art they created. These fragments of their world are not just remnants of survival, but reflections of deep cultural and intellectual lives. Paleolithic humans were not passive beings at the mercy of nature, but active participants in shaping their environments. These early people were living in a way that combined an intimate knowledge of their surroundings with a deep sense of community, artistry, and ritual that went beyond mere survival. These early humans were far from primitive. They were pioneers, each day crafting the future of human survival in ways that remain astonishing today. When we speak of caveman, we often think of clumsy, uncivilized creatures, Neanderthals, dragging women by the hair, wielding crude clubs, and wrestling mammoths to the ground. What remains of their lives today are the remnants of the tools they left behind: stone knives, hand axes. The Paleolithic period represents the longest stretch of human history, spanning from the first appearance of humans as a distinct species to the dawn of the agricultural revolution. Paleolithic tools, crafted from stone, bone, and wood, were not simply rudimentary items for survival. The ability to create and maintain tools was essential for survival in a world that was as dangerous as it was unpredictable. As the day unfolded, early humans would perform the essential tasks that ensured their survival. By daylight, the group would assess their immediate needs. Was food running low? Were there signs of game nearby? Was there fresh water to be found? Unlike our modern lives, which are filled with rigid schedules and deadlines, Paleolithic life followed a more flexible pattern of activities. Food acquisition, of course, dominated the day. In areas near water, fishing played a significant role in the diet. It wasn't just about survival, it was about living in a community. The Paleolithic world was social, filled with interdependence. As the group came together around the fire in the evenings, their lives were not just about survival, they were about culture. It is easy to forget that early humans were more than survivors, they were creators. Despite the challenges they faced, these early humans were remarkably skilled at managing their environment. Their adaptability and ingenuity were not limited to survival strategies, but extended to their social systems, art, and technology. By the time the Paleolithic period was coming to an end, early humans had developed sophisticated technologies, complex social structures, and a deep understanding of the natural world. The next time you imagine a caveman, do not picture a primitive, brutish figure. In a world where the challenges of survival seemed constant, they faced those challenges with intelligence, innovation,